Hi out there. Good to see you on this platform. My name is James Komolafe, and what a pleasure welcoming you to this special classic, especially at such a time like this in our nation and in other nations of the world. COVID-19 has come to be a pandemic that is turning the whole world upside down. Nations, including Nigeria, are locking down simply because of COVID-19. And many people out there are in awe of the situation of the lockdown. What happens within the 14 days? How do I cope with my family? I've not been used to sitting down in a place. This isolation portends something negative, says so many people. But from this video, I want to show you how to cope bountifully and productively during isolation. I want you to see that the lockdown period is actually a time for you to bask, bounce, and build very strong vibrations so that you can be radiant and resolute. Welcome to the School of Articulation and Behavioral Alignment Resources, your one-stop behavioral hub for the full expression, the virile health, for optimal productivity. I like to begin this way, that isolation on its own is only a solution when it is targeted towards a positive note. We need to produce certain behavioral buffers as cushion to the negative side of isolation. So in effect, for isolation to produce result, we must see it in the context of three variables. The first being prevention from COVID-19 pandemic, and the second being protection of lives during the incidence of COVID-19, and the third being production and all the processes involved during isolation. That is why our President Muhammadu Buhari, on Sunday, 29th of March, reeled out the two stages approach of governance towards COVID-19, mentioning the case of the prevention and the protection, and leaving technically the production for the masses, which of course is in order, because as citizens, you are the one going to experience the lockdown in isolation. So what do I do to turn the isolation period around during this COVID-19 pandemic virus? The third approach is the people's side, while the first and second is the government side. This is all about your coping mechanism to be able to tweak and generate values from the positive side of isolation. You know what? When the negative side of isolation beams at an individual, it spells so many issues out there that are not good. For example, boredom, tiredness, lethargy, thrombosis, which is the clotting of the blood in the legs, nervous breakdown, excessive fat, and all kinds of issues that could lead to depression, emotional triggers due to idleness, apprehension, and negative inclinations to anything could result. Why will this be? Many people are not used to this long stretch of isolation. So what do I do in order not to subject myself to the negative side of isolation? It is to consider and develop systems and structures for the positive side. And that is the production side of isolation. And when you are there, you know what? There will be positive mental engagement. You can exercise all round, you can play games, you can do personal evaluations, you can build skills, and so many other stuff there. Connect with people, socialize, even as you keep the social distance. As you wash your hands with alcohol-based sanitizer, and do the other nitty-gritty for precaution. There are 10 powers for productive isolation, and that is the crux of this video. How can you use them and get the best out of this lockdown? And these are the 10 powers. Know them, engage them, assess yourself via them, take your score, even as you proceed into the isolation proper. Enjoy the 10 powers of productive isolation. The first power is your ability to examine. So what do you examine? The isolation period should be a time to examine your strength, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. Look at those variables and do the needful. And you know what? That could take you some ample time. And I'm sure on a very longer note, you possibly may not have had the time to sit down and look at your strength. Consider your weaknesses, the opportunities around you, and your threat quotient, so that you can minimize your weaknesses and maximize your strength, so that you can also convert your threat variables to opportunities. That is a whole lot to do. So that is the first power for productive isolation. The second power is the power to explore. It is not enough for you to look at your first power of examining yourself. You need to be able to explore into yourself. And what does that entail? You need to be able to dig deeper into yourself. Look at your reserved abilities, your competencies, your skills, your talents, and your gifts, and take personal objective assessment for new decisions. You've been walking around the clock, and some of us, it is only sleep that takes away work from your mind, hand, and feet. So what do as you explore? You dig deeper into yourself. Look at unharnessed energies, potentials you have not utilized, and begin to pencil down things where you want to take new decisions. The third power of productive isolation during this lockdown is your capacity to expand. So what do you expand? your scope of influence, of course, on a vertical note and on a horizontal note, on a positive note. You have relationships and responsibilities. So you need to begin to look upward and sideways. Upward to your superiors, your mentors, your models, even God on the vertical scene. And then on the horizontal scene, look at your families. Look at places where you hold stakes and see what you can further do and develop on a vital note. It's very important. Then the fourth power of your productive isolation is the power of your exercise. In exercise, you sit yourself down and see what to do in order to keep fit and function. You look at your spiritual life. You need to deepen your prayers, your commitment to fasting, to study, to meditation, to memorizing. You look at your mental life. What books do I need to read to be better, to be more? You look at your emotional life. How do I hold connection so strongly to people that matter in my life and around my workspace, my family, my home? Then you look at physical exercise. What are the aerobics, the yoga, the stretch walks, the jumps that I can do around my surrounding in order to keep fit and to burn the excess fat? So exercise on 4 lanes: spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical, is important at this time. Then your number 5 power for positive isolation and productive one, of course, is your power to exterminate. So what do you exterminate? Particles of fear, panic, boredom, stress, depression, and every other emotional imbalances that could crop up during isolation. So what do? You plan ahead. You don't wait for them to happen. The vacuum you should have created for them are filled with something positive at the beginning. And that is why you are hearing this video, so that you can do the needful. Don't allow for fear. Don't allow for stress, undue stress. Don't make out time for depression. Neither must you cooperate with any trigger around you. Then the next power is the power of your excel. Where do you need to perfect issues around you, around your relationships and responsibilities? What are those inadequacies you have penciled down so that you can build yourself up some more? Life calls for excellence, and the best time to think excellence and consider excellence is when you are immobile, mentally, emotionally, and physically, so that you can sit yourself up and weigh things yourself and balance things yourself. And the next power for productive isolation at this lockdown period is the power to express. You need to connect critically to your flows within. You need to do some personal fine-tuning for fullness. Just find the expression. Do what creates a flow content for you. What makes you enthusiastic? Express yourself. Don't sit down in one corner just waiting for time to while away. Do something. Vibrate. Build energies. Burn energy. Talk. Converse. When you don't find avenues and windows to express yourself. Of course, you may be writing application to depression, because depression is absence of expression. So express yourself emotionally, physically, and otherwise. And number 8 is the power to excite. So what are the things that make you happy, radiant? Where would you like to catch fun? What can you easily do to create the much needed variety so that you don't give room to boredom? Lethargy, very critical at this time. So what are the exciting things? You want to play games? You want to watch some video? You want to just make yourself happy and catch fun? Please go ahead. You want to make some calls and connect critically to other people around you while keeping social distance and every other precaution? Please go ahead. This is the time for it. And then number 9 is the power of your expose. It's very productive. Do you want to expose yourself to new ideas, initiatives, creativity, new learning, offline, online? You want to expose yourself to certain habits that you want to cultivate after COVID-19. What are the attributes and attitude you want to expose yourself to? It's time to pencil down all of these issues so that you can reinvent yourself and come out stronger after COVID-19. And last but not the least is your power to extol. You need to do all things glorifying God, thanking God, thanking human beings. Because when you appreciate God and appreciate people around you who matter, around your life, your family, your home, you are setting a template for further increase in life. So, who do you need to thank? What attitude of thanksgiving and appreciation will you want to build further so as to strengthen your ties and keep your relationship stronger at any rate? So these are the 10 powers of productive isolation. In summary, 1, examine. 2, explore. 3, expand. 4, exercise. 5, exterminate. 6, excel. 7, express. 8, excite. 9, expose. And then 10, extol. You may want to find out, Coach, how do I measure up and not mess up in these powers? Very simple. A psychometry has been wired to assist you to achieving this. So all you do is to download the psychometry and answer the questions as you think and feel and imagine. So you score yourself. And what is the title of the psychometry? To aid you to determine your fit and preparation for a productive isolation. It is tagged Coping Mechanism Assessment Test. It is a policy that has 12 highlights on a major note. 1, it serves as a cross-check of your level of preparation during the lockdown. It offers you a balancing factor of all your variables so that you will not be lopsided. 3, it destroys fear and unnecessary intimidation. It keeps you confident and strong during adversity and adverse period. It helps you to maintain calmness and quietness. It keeps your behavioral and mental health intact. And of course, you do know that prevention up till tomorrow is better than cure. So, coping mechanism assessment test 101 by acronym CMAT 101 will help you to prevent rather than waiting to cure. It will also help you to keep yourself against the contraction of COVID-19, because while you are at home, you are engaged, you are busy, catching fun, building and burning energies at various lengths and quarters. So you are not perturbed or disturbed by the ongoing COVID-19. And then it will bring about personal overhaul. You are going to come out sounder, better, brighter, and bolder at the end of the lockdown. So what do you do? How do you attempt the assessment test? You get to know your status, your ability, and your moment. You need to engage the rule of objectivity. Please be very sincere. What you don't know, you don't know. Approach it with all the plainness. Your thoughts, your feelings, and your imagination. Write your name, your WhatsApp number, occupation, and age as appropriate. And then look at the graph. Look at the point score and what they represent by numbers, where 1 is the lowest and 10 is the highest. They are the same number on the 10 columns. I expect as you watch this video, you already have a printed page of the assessment so that you can just master it and marshal out your scores. So as you read each question, just think for 5 to 7 seconds, and your mind will certainly tell you where you belong. Then tick that in front of that question. If your mind tells you you are dull about this question, then dull means 1 in the graph. So in front of question 1, you just tick yourself on that column 1. That means dull. So whether direct or indirect, you always manifest the symptoms you post per time. So what do? By the time you finish all the questions, ensure that you tick yourself in 10 places without ticking yourself twice in each of the questions. So after ticking the 10, how do you get your category score? You multiply the number of occurrence in each column with the column number on top and write it in the black box down as category score. So meaning, if you score yourself under 5 3 times, 5 being the column number, and then 3 times being the number of occurrence, you are going to multiply the 2 and you get 15 in your category box. So that's how you do it all. And how do you arrive at your percentage preparation? You simply add up all the numbers in the box to arrive at your percentage score. Now look at the fun. If your percentage score, for example, is 42, it means you are 42% prepared to produce during isolation and 58% unprepared. So what do? Go ahead and tick your cluster where you belong. And under where you belong, it's also a message on its own altogether. Snap that assessment to my WhatsApp 08035 999 220. And as you send it, or to my Gmail account, james1kom@gmail.com, we will interpret based on 4 analyses and send you 25 statements of your level of preparation and show you where to cross your T's and where also to dot your I. We might place a little insignificant charge, which is worth its salt, for you to really grasp issues and rebuild your personal protocols so that you can fill the missing link. So these 4 analyses are structural deviation to check your level of deviation from your original person, trend analysis to see where you need to raise your energy further or bring it down, where you need to build more and where you need to burn more. It will show us. Then root cause analysis, why you are scoring that mark and what to do to score higher will be shown to us. And then point blank analysis will show us your low, your high, and all of those stuff. When you score 0 to 39, it means you are in apprehension cluster, meaning you are not prepared at all to cope and to produce during isolation. It means you are full of intimidation already, overwhelmed, not knowing how to do, what to do, and how to go about issues. So please pick your phone and call our number, besides sending your assessment for treatment. If you score 40 to 50, you are in observation, meaning you are just leaving yourself to fate. FATE, which will not help. You are not also prepared. If you score 51 to 60, you are in comprehension, meaning you have a bit of an understanding of your level of preparation, but what you don't know is much more than what you do know. By the treatment, will show you what you don't know and help you balance up. If you score 61 to 70, you are in active preparation, meaning you are using informed knowledge and applied information. So it means you understand so many things and are ready to hit the ground running and coping fine during isolation. So when you send your assessment by post on WhatsApp, I'm going to treat you and pull out all your other issues so that you can be perfect during isolation as far as productivity is concerned. When you score 71 to 80, that is appreciation, meaning you are not only going to cope, but you also produce value. You generate incentives for yourself. This assessment is good. This classification is orderly for you. So it means that you are okay, but you have not yet attained full potential. When you score 81 to 100, you are in distinction, meaning that you are great, coping well and developing creatively all around, hook, line, and sinker. And this one does not need any attention. You can simply pull along during hard times, lockdown, and isolation. What's the last line here? It is not enough knowing and appreciating your cluster. You need to process it by sending the snapped copy of your assessment for further sentences and behavioral analysis. Life calls for deliberate living. You need to be in charge by conscious effort. Good news, you are not at the mercy of isolation and the negative tendency and trends thereof. You can walk away from these symptoms as you build capacity, multiply outcomes, raise your level of integrity during this moment of lockdown. Isolation can bring the much needed transformation around. If you follow these steps and you do this assessment, you come out radiant and great. I wait to hear from you and to receive your assessment. Happy, productive isolation. Thank you so very much, and cheers.